أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Jazakumullah to everyone that's here on time. Okay, so I'm going to select A448. Assalamu alaikum. A448, can you hear me? From A448.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you today?
Fine.
Okay, alhamdulillah, good. So I'd like you, if you could please recite this prayer at the start, please. The one that I've highlighted. Could you please recite this prayer for us?
Yes. Rabbi shurrahu sadri wasirli amuri.
Okay, so just starting from the beginning. Rabbi shrahli. So repeat after me, please. Rabbi shrahli sadri wa yassirli amri. Jazakallah. So I think you were getting a bit confused. These signs over here, they're not the dhamma. This is the sukoon sign. So we're going to read it as Rabbi shrahli, not Rabbi shrahuli. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, Jazakallah. So just remind me again of your ID, please.
A448.
Okay, excellent. Jazakallah. So I'm just going to mute you then. Okay, so I'm going to select a student now from Nasirat, and I would like this student to just think of 1 or 2 points about the etiquettes of the Quran class. So how you think students should be behaving whilst they're in this Quran class. So the student that I'm going to select is, let's have a look from my list. If I can have N477. Assalamu alaikum. N477.
Walaikum salam.
How are you today? Are you okay?
I'm okay, alhamdulillah.
Okay, great. So N477, can you share with your classmates what you think the behavior should be like in the Quran class? How do you think we should be behaving?
It should be good, and we should listen.
Excellent. And what do you have to do before you come to the Quran class? Before we even start, what do you do before?
We do wuzu and cover our head.
Brilliant. Well done. Jazakumullah N477. So I'm going
My
to
second time. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Jazakumullah. Okay, so that's perfect. So just a reminder again, please make sure that your videos are off. I think sometimes when you sign in, they automatically come on, but if you just check the setting before signing in, just make sure that it is off. So today we are going to be starting a new lesson. The lesson that we finished last week, it was the 20 common recitational errors. And alhamdulillah, we've gone through all of the rules, and we've also done revision of all of the rules last week. So what I'm going to do is, this following lesson, this is to do with pausing. So whether it's at the end of the verse or in the middle, if you're short of breath and you need to make a pause, these are the rules that you need to follow, and it sort of tells you what to do on each letter that you pause on. So what I'll do is, because rule number 20 from the first lesson is linked to the lesson we're doing today, we're just going to do a very quick revision. Just before we begin, there are a few people with personal names in their ID, so could you please write the correct ID, otherwise your attendance doesn't get counted. So please come with the correct ID that you were given when you first registered. Jazakumullah. So I'm going to select now, have a look. Okay, A414, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you today, A414?
Fine.
Excellent. So, do you remember anything about rule number 20 in the first lesson that we covered? Can you remind your classmates what we talked about in rule 20? You can just read it out if you want. It's this one over here.
Be mindful of the last letter.
Mm-hmm. And when do you have to be mindful of the last letter? In what situation? So when you are,
Pausing or stopping.
Excellent, well done. So looking at the examples in rule number 20, could you just read this first one for me and just read it as if you're going to carry on, so you're not stopping. How would you read it?
Nisa'an.
Excellent. And just for the sake of practice, so what's on the alif over here?
Mad kabir.
Mad kabir, excellent. And how long do we prolong on Mad kabir?
4 seconds.
Excellent, well done. So if you are going to pause on this word over here, on the Hamza, what happens to the tanween which is above the Hamza? What does it become? So look at what's already written and then what's in the brackets. What's the conversion of the signs?
Nisa'a.
Yeah, so what's above the Hamza in the second? The one that
vertical fatah.
Excellent. So what's happening here is the fathatain, or the tanween above the Hamza, that's going to become a vertical fatha when we pause on it. So just read it again for me and make sure, remember 2 seconds on the vertical fatha.
Nisa'a.
Excellent, well done, Jazakallah, that's brilliant. And the second example, so again, just read the word as if you are continuing and you're not going to stop.
Yarahu.
Well done. And if you're going to pause, what happens to the ha? The sign on the ha? So you read it as yarahu, and what are you going to read it as if you stop on the ha? How would you read it?
Yara.
So not yara, remember 1 second on fatha, yara. Okay?
Yara.
Yara. 1 second on both fathas. And then ha over here, before it was an inverted dhamma, and now it's taking the sukoon, so it will be yara. Yeah?
Okay.
So next example, how are you going to read it if you're not going to pause?
Manatan.
Done. Excellent. Manatan. And how are you going to, what's going to happen to the ta marbuta if you're going to pause there?
It's gonna.
What does it change into?
Sukoon.
Yeah, so actually the ta becomes a ha with the sukoon on top of it. So manah, manah. Try that for me, please.
Mana.
Excellent. Next example, read as if you are going to continue on it.
Yasha'u.
Well done. And if you are going to pause, what sign is going to come above the Hamza?
Sukoon.
So how will you read it?
Yasha'.
Excellent, well done. And the final example, please read if you are going to, as if you're going to continue.
Minhunna.
What are we going to remember to do on the noon? What's above the noon, this sign here?
Fatah.
Just below the fatha, the small double, what do we call it?
Shadda.
What do we remember to do when we have the noon mushaddad?
Prolong it for 2 seconds.
So yeah, so not prolong, but to sort of hold your voice on it for 2 seconds, and also make that nasal sound. So min hunna.
Minhunna.
Excellent. And if you're going to pause on it, what happens to the fatha on the noon mushaddad?
Minhun.
Excellent. So what sign have you converted?
Into a sukoon.
Sukoon. Excellent. Jazakumullah. So what's your ID again? Please remind me.
A414.
A414. Okay, Jazakumullah A414. So I'm going to mute you now. So I'm now going to select N489. Assalamu alaikum. N489.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you today, N489?
I can't hear you.
Okay, let me try and speak louder. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, brilliant. So can you see the screen okay?
but it's not that loud.
It's not that loud. Okay, let me see if I can speak. Okay, so can you hear me okay now?
Just a bit.
Just a bit. Okay. So can you read for me, if you can hear me okay, this one that I've highlighted, and read as if you're going to pause on the Hamza.
Yasha.
Excellent. And this one over here, please. Again, if you're going to pause on it.
Nisa.
Well done. And the last one here, please.
Minhun.
Sorry, again, please.
The voice is really low.
Okay. Can you just read the highlighted one for me?
Minhun.
Excellent. Jazakallah. Remember, pausing a bit more on the noon. So, minhun.
Minhun.
Excellent. Jazakallah. Jazakillah, sorry. So, I'm going to move to the Quran now. And I would like you to read from, we're doing Surah Al-Ma'arij today. And could you read for me verse 1 from Bismillah up until verse number 4, please, remembering the rules of Waqf. Okay?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سأل سائل
Okay, just pausing there. So remembering the rule that we looked at, let me just go back actually. Okay, pause for a second. What I'll do is, this recitation was fine. So before we move to the lesson 2, so over here, you almost pronounce the tanween. So what's going to happen in this situation is the ayn, which has the tanween underneath of it, it's going to have a sukoon when we pause on it. So how do you think you would read it if you were going to pause here? Great, excellent. So read the whole verse again for me, please.
سأل سائل بعذاب.
So remembering again, so this is a different rule. When we have a letter which is carrying the tanween or the kasratain here, and it's joining with the waw with the shadda. Let me just scroll up. So we had here, do you remember rule number 12 in lesson 1? Where when we have a tanween or a noon sakin, and after it we have the waw with the shadda, we're going to pause a little bit for 2 seconds and produce the nasal sound. So for example, here, we read it as naran wa. And here, yeah, sorry, go on. You can have a go.
Naran wa.
So naran wa.
Naran wa.
Excellent. And min walin.
Min walin.
A little bit more on the noon sakin. Min walin.
Min walin.
Excellent, Jazakallah. So in the same way, just over here, عذاب واقع. pausing slightly here. So just read it from bi'adhabin again. There's no jerking on the alif. Try again, yeah. Excellent. So just that was very good. Just a bit more fluency in the way that you're reciting. So sa'ala sa'ilum bi'adhabin waqi'. Okay, that was very good. You didn't really make any big mistakes, but just a bit more fluency when you collect the letters. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you can carry on. Next verse, please.
للكافرين ليس له دافع.
Well done. So again here, you remembered the rule. So the ayn, which has got the tanween sign again, we are going to replace it with a sukoon when we stop at the end of the verse. So we read it as dafi'.
Dafi'.
Excellent. Try to get the ayn sound from the middle of your throat. Dafi'.
Dafi'.
Excellent. And just remembering over here, what's the stroke above the lam?
Fatha.
Fatha. And what do we do with fatha? How many seconds?
1 second.
1 second. So you slightly prolonged it a little bit. So لَيْسَ لَهُ دَافِعٌ.
لَيْسَ لَهُ دَافِعٌ.
Excellent. And could you read the final verse as well for me, please?
مِنَ اللَّهِ ذِي الْمَعَارِجِ.
Excellent. Well done. So just over here, read the start again for me, please.
Minna.
Okay.
Minallah.
So minallahi. So I think what you're doing here is, because there's a shadda on the lam, you're reading the noon as if there was a shadda on it. So you want this to be normal. So minallahi. Yeah? So not too strong on the noon, but the shadda is appearing on the lam in the word Allah. Okay? So just try again for me.
Minallah.
So minallahi.
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 Well done, great. Okay, and just read the verse again.
Minallahi zil ma'arij.
Excellent. And what have you done on the jeen here because you're stopping? What sign has come above the jeen?
Sorry?
So on the jeen, you paused because you came to the end of the verse. And if you were to carry on, you've got the kasra. But because you read it as rij, what sign has come above the jeen?
Sakoon.
Sakoon. Excellent. Well done. So that was really good. Really well done. But again, just a bit more fluency in your recitation. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And remind me again of your ID, please.
N489.
N489. Okay. Jazakallah N489. I'm going to mute you now. Okay. So moving to our lesson then. So this lesson is various cases in pausing. And these are just examples of words where it's basically going to enable you to practice how to pause on lots of different circumstances when you're reading different words in the Holy Quran. So I'm now going to choose a student from Atfal. So, okay, A410, Assalamualaikum. A410, can you hear me? Assalamualaikum. A410.
Open your eyes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. If there's a bit of noise in the background, is there anyone who could turn it off?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. Okay, great. So,
Can you hear me?
yeah, can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
Okay. A410, can you hear me okay? Okay, what I'll do is I'll come back to A410 in a moment. I'm going to select then. Let's have. Okay, A44. Let me just check actually. A443. Assalamu alaikum. A44.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you today, A443?
I'm okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're looking, I'm just going to mute you for a second and then I'm going to bring you back when we do the examples, okay?
Okay.
Okay, great. So looking at the very first example, so we've got, could you read this word for me, please? Oh, sorry, I've just unmuted you. Now, can you read this word for me, please?
Yaumi.
Yaomi. So what do we have joined to the ya in this example? So this
Wow with a zaku.
is the goal. Excellent. So while talking, and how long are we going to prolong with the waw sakin coming up? How many seconds?
2.
2 seconds. And what is under the meme? What's the name of the stroke under the meme?
Zir.
Zir. Or can you think of what the other word is? Begins with a K. The Arabic term for it.
Kasra.
Excellent. Yeah, kasra. So how many seconds on the kasra?
1.
Excellent. Well done. So read it again for me, please. 2 seconds and then 1 second.
Yaumi.
Excellent. Yaomi. And that's how you would read if you're continuing. If you wanted to stop on the word yaomi, looking at this answer just below, what's going to happen to the sign on the meme? How are we going to read it instead?
If it's for stopping, then you just read
Yaum.
Yaum. Excellent. So the meme is the kasra under the meme is going to be replaced by the sukoon sign. So you're going to read it as yaum. Okay, well done. So in the next example, can you just read it normally, however you would, if you're continuing?
Makhutumin.
Makhtumin. Excellent. And if you are going to pause, what's going to happen on the meme?
So even if you pause, you're going to pause. इसके बाद आया तो फिर कैसे?
No.
If you're going to pause here, then how would you read?
How would you read that? So looking at what's on this one, this is basically what's going to happen if you're going to pause. So the meme here is carrying the sukoon. So that means we're going to read it as makhtoom, okay? So we're not going to read the kasratain, we're going to read it as makhtoom if we're pausing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay then, so in the next example, just read it as you would if you're continuing in recitation.
Rasulihi.
Excellent. And again, looking at the answer that comes in the second line, this is how we're going to read it if we pause. So how are we going to recite this word? So the ha will carry the... Yep, sorry, go.
Rasulih.
Rasulih. Excellent, well done. And in the next example, how would you read it normally?
Musfiratu.
So just remember on
Musfiratu.
yeah, well done. So remember this one here, the little apostrophe here, this is the dhamma sign or the pesh sign. And this one here, even though it looks quite similar, it's not got that tiny circle in the middle of it. So this is a sukoon sign. So try not to get too confused with them. So musfiratun is how we would read it if we were continuing. And if we are going to pause, so the ha is taking the sukoon, so the da marbuta becomes the ha sakin. So how would you read the word if you were to pause on it?
Musfirah.
Musfirah, excellent, well done. Okay, let's try the final example. So how would you read it in normal recitation? Continuous recitation, sorry.
Abvan.
Normal. Normal. Just read the whole word normal.
Yeah, just if you're reciting normally, how would you read?
Ababa.
नहीं आपने स्टॉप नहीं करना पूरा अब्बा इसको क्या पढ़ेंगे बन ऊपर ये देखो क्या
Ababan.
Okay, good. What's just so on this waw we have the fatha. What letter comes after the waw? What's this? Sorry, what stroke is on the? Yeah. Sorry, letter alif. Well done. So how many seconds if we have alif, blank alif following a letter?
Two.
2 seconds. Well done. So just prolong slightly. So abwaban.
Abwaban.
Excellent. And if we're going to pause, so the fathatain, that will just become the fatha. So we're just going to read it as abwaba. 2 seconds if we're pausing. Okay, so you see here what's happened to the change in the stroke. So abwaba if we're pausing. Okay. Okay, just read it for me, please.
Abwaba.
Excellent, Jazakumullah. And just remind me again of your ID, please.
A443.
Excellent. Okay, Jazakallah A443. I'm going to pause you, mute you now. Okay. Now I'm going to choose someone from Nasrat. Let's see who I haven't had. Okay. Assalamualaikum. N458, can you hear me?
Walaikum salam. Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So looking at the second line, can you please read this word if you're reading in continuous recitation?
Okay. Yan.
So what's the ya joined to?
Sorry. Yazunnu.
Yazunnu, excellent. And just remembering, so we have the noon mushaddad here. How do we recite the noon mushaddad?
Yazun.
Yeah, so that's if we were pausing. Well done. I'm just saying generally, whenever we see the noon with the shadda sign, we're going to pause a little bit for 2 seconds and also produce the nasal sound. So yazunnu.
Yazunnu.
And again, if we're pausing.
Yazun.
Excellent, Jazakallah. And moving to the next one then, please.
Musassan.
So this is a meme over here, what's joined to the scene.
Oh, sorry. Musamman.
Excellent. Musamman.
Musamman.
So I'm just going to go very quickly back to the lesson. So remembering meme and noon mushaddad. we're going to put emphasis on it. We're going to produce the nasal sound and also pause for 2 seconds. So that's mim and nun mushaddad. So exactly the same as we did with yazunnu musamma. Okay, 2 seconds on that. And so looking at the second line, what's happening? How's the letter changing if we the sound doesn't change, so we still prolong for 2 seconds if we pause. But what's the difference in the first and the second example?
The sukoon becomes a fatha. The tanween becomes a fatha.
So yeah, well done, yeah. And it's joined to the alif then in the second example. Good. So third example, please, if you are reading in continuous recitation.
Nisa'an.
Well done. And so what's happening here, we also covered this in rule number 20 of lesson 1. It's very special with the hamza which carries the fathatain, or the tanween above the hamza. If we're going to pause, it's going to change to hamza with a vertical fatha. So rather than nisa'an, how are we going to read it if we pause there?
Nisa.
Well done. So just read it fluently together, please.
Nisa.
Okay, good. Nisa. So 2 seconds on the vertical fatha. Okay, and the next example, please.
Ma'in.
Well done. Just do pause a little bit more on the in. So ma'in.
Ma'in.
Excellent, jazakallah. And if we're pausing, what's happening to the hamza? So at the moment it's got kasratain beneath it. What's happening to the hamza if we pause?
It's gonna be like ma.
Excellent. So the hamza is going to take the sukoon if we're pausing. So ma. So we want that slight jerking sound just at the end for the hamza with the sukoon. Well done. And final example, please.
Mathwaya.
Excellent. A bit too long on the alif, so just 2 seconds. Mathwaya.
Mathwaya.
Well done. And if we're going to pause, how is the ya going to change? What's the difference in the stroke?
And the fatha becomes a sukoon.
Excellent. How are we going to read it?
Mathway.
Excellent. Mathway. That's perfect. Okay, jazakallah. And what's your idea?
Sorry, you know the homework for the quiz on online?
Mm-hmm.
I've already been told how to log in, but I entered the password to T2 and put in my ID.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went in, it didn't let me. It said that you have to register to this class to be able to view the recordings and to do the quiz.
Okay. Just tell me your ID, please.
N458.
N458. Could you please send an email to, you know, the email address that you usually get your correspondence? I think it's info@nqc.org.uk. Could you please just email with your ID so they can look into that issue?
Okay,
Jazakallah. So I'm going to pause you now, mute you now, sorry. N458. Okay, so this time a student from Atfal. So A407, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Can you hear me okay? And can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So looking at the third line on the lesson, could you please read this in continuous recitation?
Suwan.
Just read it again, please.
Suwan.
So this letter here, what's this letter? Looking at it just on its own. Hold on. There we go. So this letter, what's this? So this is ta, okay? Ta. So we're reading it as tuwan. Yeah, so what's the sign just above the ta?
I forgot.
Apostrophe sign. So this is dhamma, yeah, dhamma or pesh. So how many seconds on this?
Is it 2?
Not 2 seconds. So 2 seconds would be on the inverted dhamma, but this is just the plain dhamma on its own. So we just go back to the first lesson. So remembering any sign which carries, any letter that carries fatha, kasra or dhamma, we're just doing it for 1 second on its own. If it's standing fatha or vertical fatha, vertical kasra or inverse dhamma, then it's 2 seconds. So can you see the slight difference? The dhamma is just the normal apostrophe type sign, and this is the inverted dhamma, which is a bit like a 6 shape, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's for 2 seconds. So remembering here, because it's just dhamma, 1 second, tuwan. Okay, try that for me, please.
1.
Excellent, tuwan. And what's going to happen if we decide to pause on this word? Say you run out of breath and you really need to stop in the middle of a verse. How are we going to read it if we pause? So looking at the letter I highlighted.
Is it I don't know.
So this here, can you tell me what the stroke is just above the waw here? So even if you don't know how to, the terminology for it, how long would you prolong this waw for?
For 2 seconds.
2 seconds. So this is the vertical fatha, and it's 2 seconds. So what's happening here, if you're pausing on the end of this word, the fathatain is going to be replaced by the vertical fatha. So we, rather than reading it as tuwan, we would read it as tuwa, 2 seconds, tuwa, okay?
Okay.
Okay, great. Next example, could you just read it as you would normally?
Tha.
So what's the letter in the middle of the word? So this letter just over here, which has a sukoon over it. So this is ayn, okay? Ayn. And just remember, when you have the letter ayn, you want to make a difference between alif and ayn. So alif is here, ayn is here. If they were together, you really want to make sure that your voice is distinct when you pronounce the ayn sound. So ayn is coming from the middle of your throat. So ta'thaw,
Ta'thaw.
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 Excellent. So here you're prolonging for 2 seconds if you're reading as normal. And again, if you're pausing, there's going to be no change. So again, you'll be for 2 seconds. Is that clear?
Yep.
Okay, great. So in this example, the waw became waw with vertical fatha. In this example, there's no change, sukoon before and sukoon again on the waw. Could you read this one for me, please?
An-Nabiyyu.
Okay, great. So this word over here, this is noon. And do you know what this sign is? The W sign just above the noon. Do you know what we call it?
No.
So this is shadda, yeah? So with the shadda, just again remembering the previous student as well, we came back to this lesson. Noon and mim mushaddad especially, they need a lot of emphasis on those letters, and they really need a nasal sound to go with it when we read it. So here, anna. Can you try that for me?
Anna.
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 Excellent. And again, over here, the letter ya has a shadda, and we're going to have a bit more emphasis on this as well. So, an-nabiyyu.
An-Nabiyyu.
Excellent. So over here, in this example, the ya with the shadda, it's carrying the stroke of dhamma. And if we're going to pause, the dhamma is going to be replaced by the sukoon, okay? So how do you think you might read it if it's a sukoon at the end of the word?
An-Nabi.
Yeah, good. That's good. A bit more emphasis, because remember, we haven't lost the shadda. We've just changed the stroke from a dhamma to a sukoon. So still a bit of emphasis. So, an-nabi.
An-Nabi.
Excellent. An-Nabi.
An-Nabi.
Well done, good. So, fourth example, just read it as you would normally.
Kafaru.
Well done. And again, how are you going to read it? Is there going to be any change in recitation?
No.
No, well done. So how would you read it then?
Kafaru.
Excellent. And final example, please.
Banaha.
So what's the ha attached to here? What's this letter here? Let me see if I can highlight. So ha is joined to the alif here, okay? And the alif, as we know, it's a letter of elongation. So we read it for 2 seconds. So just make sure, like you prolong the noon really nicely, make sure you prolong the ha with the alif nicely as well. So banaha, 2 seconds equally, okay?
Okay.
Okay, and how is it going to change if we pause on it?
No.
No, excellent, well done. So we've covered those 2 lines. So just remind me again of your ID, please.
A407.
Excellent, Jazakallah A407. So I'm going to mute you now. Just a reminder, so there are 2 people again in the class. So I've got Saman Tahseen and Tahmina's iPhone 7. Please could you make sure that you've written your correct ID, because otherwise your attendance doesn't get marked, because we have no idea who the people are with your personal names. So please make sure if the student is from Atfal or Nasirat, make sure it's the correct ID. Okay, so now I'm going to choose, so we've covered the first 3 lines. So again, if we go back to practicing with the Holy Quran, and remembering we're not just covering lesson 2 today. Whenever we practice using verses of the Holy Quran, we are applying all of the 20 rules we learned in lesson 1, which is why I keep going back to that worksheet, in addition to the rules of pausing appropriately as well. Okay, so I'm going to choose now. Okay, so N456. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Can you see the screen okay, N456?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So can you read for me from verse number 5, please? Just verse number 5.
Okay. A'udhu billahi minash shaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ta'rujul malaikatu warruhu ilayhi fi yawmin kana miqdaruhu khamsina alfasanat.
Okay, Jazakallah. Sorry, Jazakillah, because I'm talking to a girl. So looking at your recitation, there's no major mistakes in it, just a few points I want to draw your attention to. So in a few places, we've had just the simple sign of fatha, yeah? So how many seconds do we do if the fatha stroke appears over a word? How many seconds?
1 second.
1 second. So in a few places, so for example over here, I think, so with the kasra over here, in these few examples, you prolonged it a little bit more than 1 second. So it felt like it was 2 seconds. So just remember, because when we make changes to the prolongation of a stroke, it can sometimes alter the meaning of the word that you're reciting. So just pay attention to that rule. So for example here, al-malaikatu. So not prolonging the kaf, not al-malaikatu, al-malaikatu, okay?
Yes.
And again over here, you prolong this really well, the lam with the ya sakin, ilayhi, but you prolong the he a bit too long, so just 1 second, ilayhi, okay?
Okay.
And also over here, khamsina. Again, you prolonged really well the scene with the ya sakin, but just less time on the noon. Khamsina. And over here as well, alfa sana. Okay?
Okay.
The main point that I wanted to emphasize was, so just how would you read this, the end of this word here? So we have the word sanatin. How would you read it if you're pausing in the verse? Because you've come to the end of the verse.
Sana.
Yeah, so the bar over here, it's going to become a ha, so sana. Okay, alfa sana.
Sana.
Yeah, the ha will carry the sukoon instead of
Okay.
the ta sound. Okay, okay, brilliant. And could you just carry on to verse number 6, please?
Okay. Fasbir sabran jamila.
Excellent, well done. So that's really good, you corrected yourself. So not Jamil, but with the fathatain on the lam, it's just going to become the normal fatha. So Jamila, 2 seconds if we're pausing. Okay, excellent. So just remind me of your ID, please.
N456.
Okay, Jazakillah N456. I'm going to mute you now. And now let's pick from Atfal. Okay, so I'm coming back to A410. Assalamu alaikum, A410. Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Can you hear me okay? Can you see the screen?
Not very clearly.
Okay, let me try and speak a bit louder. So can you see the screen okay though?
Yeah, a bit.
Okay, all right then. So let me just zoom out a little bit. Could you read for me from verse number 7 until verse number 9, please?
Innahum yarawnahu ya'idda.
Okay, and this verse as well, please.
Wanara hukariba.
Okay, and final question.
Yawma takunu sama akal
Okay, good. Okay, so just starting from the beginning. So there was a bit more than 1 second on here. So the noon over here is just carrying a simple fatha. So fatha is 1 second. So yarawnahu. Okay, just 1 second on the noon. And again, over here as well. So on the bar, what's the stroke just above the bar?
Dhamma.
So not dhamma. Dhamma would be this apostrophe type thing over here. But on here we have the fatha. And I think you might have read the wrong letter in this example. So this is a bar. Yeah, the dot is coming underneath. So it's a bar. Yeah?
Oh, it's a bar, okay.
Yeah, it's a bar. So how would you read this full word over here?
Ba'ida.
Well done. And what's after what comes after the bar? What's the letter just after the bar?
Ain.
Ain. So remember the sound of ain, it has to be distinct. It has to be different to the sound of the alif. So ba'ida.
Okay.
Okay, have a go for me. Ba'ida.
Ba'ida.
Excellent, well done. So you paused really well here. So this is just 2 seconds. So ba'ida rather than ba'idan. Okay. And in this one as well, so you've got a similar situation with the pausing. So how would you read this final word at the end of the verse?
Qariba.
Excellent. And remembering 2 seconds. So qariba. Okay. And over here. So you got a bit stuck over here. So this is the noon with a dhamma. And what follows it? So we've got the scene. What's just above the scene?
A fatha and something else.
Yeah, it's the little W. Can you remember what it's called? Begins
No.
with SH.
Shadha.
Yeah, shadda, excellent. And what do you do when a shadda appears above a letter?
You kind of like, I don't know how to describe it.
So you kind of put a bit more emphasis on the letter, don't you? So when you're joining the noon with the dhamma, it's going to be takunu sama'u. Okay, hold that sound on the S. Nussama'u. Have a go for me.
Nussama'u.
Excellent. So you want emphasis on the scene. And what's above the meme over here?
Prolonged fatha.
So it's not. It's a good idea of the description. But it's madde kabir. Yeah. And do you know how many seconds is the madde kabir is prolonged for?
3,
So not 3, slightly more than 3.
4.
Yeah, so at least 4 seconds. So you want that meme and alif to be really long. So takunu sama'u.
Can you say again?
Yeah.
Takunu sama'u.
Excellent, well done. And so over here, just at the end of the verse, we have the lam. And if we were just continuing, it's got the kasra, so we would read it as al-muhli, okay? Because we're pausing, what's going to happen with the lam? How are we going to read it instead? Excellent. So the lam is going to lose the kasra and it's going to get the sukoon on it. So it's going to be kal-muhl.
Okay.
Okay, kal-muhl. Okay, jazakallah. Sorry, jazakallah. What's your ID again, please?
A410.
A410. Excellent. So I'm going to mute you now. And I'm going to quickly pick just one more from Nasrat. So, okay, Assalamu alaikum. N472, can you hear me?
G N472.
Okay, brilliant. N472, can you read for me verse number 10, please, starting from what?
अच्छा जी أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وتكون الجبال كالإحن.
Good. So on this noon, what's the stroke on it if you were continuing to read? What stroke would you pronounce?
Sukoon.
Yeah, so it would become a sukoon, but if you're continuing, this would be kasra, wouldn't it? Yeah? Yeah, so well done. You paused in the correct way at the end of the verse. So kal-ihn. Okay, can you make a bit more of an ayn sound for me, please?
كالإحن.
Excellent, that's really good. Well done. And the next verse, please.
ولا يسأل حميم حميما.
Okay, well done. That was a good effort. So remembering over here, on the hamza, what's the stroke just above the hamza here?
Fatha.
Fatha. And on the lam?
Damha.
And on the ha?
Fatha.
Excellent. And what's on the ya over here? What's this sound? Begins with an S or a J, depending on what you call it. This is sukoon, yeah, on the sukoon or jazm. So just remember, in these examples that you correctly identified, fatha, dhamma, and fatha, these are all 1 second. So, wala yas'alu hamimun. Okay, yas'alu hamimun. No prolonging. You read it a little bit too long, so just 1 second. Yas'alu hamimun. Okay, and over here, what do we do when we have a letter is joined with the ya sakin?
Prolong it for 2 seconds.
Excellent, well done. So how would you read this full word?
Hamimun.
Excellent. And just pause a little bit more with the tanween. Hamimun.
Okay.
Okay, great. And at the end of the verse, so how are we going to read this? Normally it would be hamiman if we're carrying on, but how are we going to read this if you're stopping here?
Hamima.
Excellent. So the fathatain is replaced and it's just going to be normal fatha. So, so you're just going to prolong it for 2 seconds. So hamima, well done, that was really good. So just pay attention to the really basic points, which is about your prolonging. So remembering fatha dhamma, fatha again, just 1 second each. But otherwise, you did really well with applying the rules of the waqf at the end of the verse, okay?
Jazakallah.
Okay,
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
Walaikum assalam.
हाँ जी, मैं इनकी वालदा बात करूँ। मैंने एक क्वेश्चन पूछना था, if you
Yes,
don't
sure.
mind, please.
Yeah, sure.
And if someone is on holidays during the class, so what is the procedure, please?
So some students, they're very committed and they come in even when they're on holidays. But it depends, it's not always possible. So you can just, if you email info@nqc.org.uk, if you just let them know of your absence so we can record it in the attendance.
Okay, Jazakallah, thank you very much.
So just remind me of your ID again, please.
N472.
N472, excellent. So I'm going to mute you now. Jazakallah, N472.
Jazakallah.
Thank you very much. And finally, so, okay, let's have A404. Assalamu alaikum. A404, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So A404, can you read with me for this final dua?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Allahumma arhamni.
Allahumma.
Allahumma arhamni.
Allahumma.
Bil Quran al Azim.
Quran. Huh? What?
Bil
Bill.
Quran al
Quran
Azim.
Ajib.
Brilliant. And so next line. Waj'alhu li
Waj'alhu
imama
imama
wa nura
wa nura
wa huda
wa huda
wa rahmah.
wa rahmah.
Jazakallah. And could you read the translation for me, please?
Oh Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran. And it for me and the leader light and the guidance of the mercy.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Could you remind me of your ID, please?
8404.
A404. Jazakallah, A404. So that, let me just... Okay, it doesn't matter. But anyway, that's the end of the class. So Jazakumullah to everyone that attended.